Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first November episode of Holotheatre. As always, I'm Dan Tartaglione, better known as D Tartag One. Joining me tonight as my co-host slash co-commentator for the future OCS match is Mike Kessling, rocking his world champion Atlanta Brave polo. How you doing, Mike? We'll come back to Mike here in a second. I think he's got some audio issues. But Oz joining us as our special guest to spoil the biggest thing in Star Wars history is a Yankee fan. Our design
I'm
advocate,
sporting my
Chris.
27-time world champion Yankee hat.
Hey, I mean, even a squirrel finds even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
27 times.
Yeah, I know. I'm a Mariners fan. I gotta, it's just, Mike. I still can't hear you. Can you ping me? I don't know if you can hear me. But yeah, we got a lot. So we got a lot to discuss tonight. Like we got OCS playoffs. We got an OCS playoff game in less than a half an hour. It's going to be between Matt Harrison Trainer and Drew Lichtenstein. One moment, Mike. Okay, but yeah, we got to talk about. We're gonna have that on in a bit. We're gonna have. We got a lot of stuff to talk about actually. But first things first. Again, said it's the OCS playoffs. And just as a refresher on that, currently we are in round 2. And just by checking out the bracket, Paul Myers advanced as the number 1 seed. So did Bastian Winkelhaus, our number 2 seed. All the top 3 seeds advanced, with Matthew Harrison Trainer also advancing. It was the 4 seed Timo Dussel who lost to Chris Hall, and allowing Chris to become essentially the only underdog to make it out of the first round. Okay. Do we have any audio, Mike? And then Justin Desai advanced over Connor Britton. Drew Lichtenstein, who again will play Matthew Harrison Trainer later, advanced as well. Charlie Arlinson advanced, and Justin Branch beat Brian Fred. So that is our top 8 out of the top 16. I know Mike and I are having a little bit of difficult, so I'm gonna put up I'm gonna put up a different screen and get this sorted out really quick. Actually, Mike, are you there? Can you hear us? Okay, I think he's got audio issues still, but yeah. So, what do you think about the top 16, Chris?
All great players. I think I said before, the hardest thing to do in Star Wars CCG is the top 16 in the OCS. It's a year-long commitment, and so many players. Online play is a lot different. You can run into very weird metas, very weird matchups. I think if you make the top 16 in the OCS, you're a great player at this game. So everyone who has made is top notch, and everyone who's advanced, good luck to everyone.
Okay, so on to our next piece of business, really quick. We got a little bit. So I know I spoiled this earlier at Worlds, but we spoiled 2 cards at Worlds. They were the Lando Calrissian, the Dark Side Lando Calrissian, and the Darth Sidious's lightsaber. Well, Chris put me up today and told me that Lando is getting a little bit of a change. So already went ahead and posted that onto the Set 17 spoilers. But you can see it right now as well. So Lando Calrissian, Vader's broker, is what is going to be called. Oh, Mike, I can hear you. No. So here. So again, it's going to be Lando Calrissian, Vader's broker. And yeah, he's still a 3/3. He still has uh, uh, again, he's going to so once per turn, or once during his opponent's turn, while with Imperial on Cloud City, you may activate one force. During your turn, if with an alien on Cloud City, uh, it may draw the top card of the reserve deck, and then once per game may put a non-immune to alter effect into owner's use pile. You can do that for yours. You can do that for your opponents. You can do that for everybody. So I like the card. He seems pretty solid to me. What do you guys think about him?
Mike, are you with us now?
I hope.
We have Mike. We have a Mike.
We hear you.
I jinxed this, Dan, when I said this worked the other day, it'll be fine. And I come up and then my computer is on so I apologize. I actually missed, all I heard that it was Lando and then the call dropped for a while.
So yeah, we started the call and everything, but again, it's going to be Darkside Lando. He's going to be called Lando Calrissian, Vader's Broker. He is going to be a C slip. Power 3, Ability 3, Deploy Cost 2, Forfeit 3. Once during your opponent's turn, if with an Imperial on Cloud City, you may activate one force. During your turn, if with an alien on Cloud City, you may draw the top card of your reserve deck, and then once per game may place a non-immune to alter effect into owner's use pile. Again. So, and then it was asked in the chat, can Vanny pull him? I don't. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Chris?
He has Vader in title, yeah.
Okay, so that's a good thing to know. And again, he is on the forums, so if you want to check that out, go ahead. Him and Darth Sidious's lightsaber. And then also, we wanted to announce something from Jared. Not only is the OCS currently going on, but the Jawa Cup is right around the corner. If you haven't signed up, the PC is offering some more prizes to those. Right now, the PC has an overabundance of certain foil V-slips. Those are the Jyn Erso, R2-D2, the Grand Inquisitor, and Director Orson Krennic. And the PC will now be giving those out as participation for those who weren't able to go to some of the main events. So, especially in with Europe and everything, we want to make sure that people are getting those. So, again, if you haven't signed up for the Jawa Cup, please do. It's going to be a fun event, and you know what? It's free.
Free Star Wars.
Free Star Wars. Okay. And then one last item of business. Our November deck building challenge is live. This one kind of, I'm kind of interested in this one, being that a lot of people played Y4 Ops and Snap at Worlds. It's all around Snap. So what you got to do is to see who can cancel the most force drains with Snap. That's it. It has to be your opponent's force drains, so you can't say, "Oh, I canceled my force drains. That counts." No, you got to use Snap to cancel your opponent's force drains. You have until midnight on the last day of November to enter, and as always, they have to be in a league game, and you have to send over a replay link, a deck list, and a screenshot. So, if you got any questions, hit me up. But it's going to be a pretty easy deck building challenge, and get those done before November. So, okay, Chris, the floor is yours. You have.
I just wanted to circle back to Lando. I thought it'd be a good time with the OCS going on, and between events to just give an update what design's up to, and where we're headed. We anticipate a set coming out before ENPC. One of the big things with that set is we are going to do something that's been a goal of mine for a while, and that's unify the persona rules. It never made sense to me that Lando is the only persona who has this weird interaction about only one being on table, when in reality he's the one that actually works for both sides a lot. So Darkseid can have Vader, Lightside can have Anakin. Why couldn't Darkseid and Lightside both have Lando? That's something I've wanted to do for a while. I talked to Rules about it, and now we kind of made this Lando. Um, he's a little different from when you first spoiled him. I just want to talk to some people about that. Changing rules is not as easy as I thought. So a lot of credit goes to Greg Zinn, our rules advocate, and also obviously Adam EBT for going through everything. But what we realized is even if we change the rules, you still can't have two Lando Calrissian unique characters on table at the same time. Same reason you can't play Weapon Lev the same turn. So we had to change his name to be something clever. We thought Vader's broker was good because Dark Deal, he's brokering that deal. And then the thought behind his text was he can place an effect that's not immune to alter in use pile because one's praying that they alter it any further. And then his text kind of works both with aliens and Imperials because the garrison's there. So he's running the city on both sides. And one cool thing about him that I'm looking forward to is, and I think I saw maybe Ryan in the chat pointed out, by making him an Imperial, he will work in Hunt Down V. So Hunt Down V requires you to start a Cloud City site with one icon, which includes the security tower, the non-virtual security tower, which pulls Lando. So we think that's kind of cool. And that might also give a different spin on that deck to actually encourage Cloud City sites versus Malachor. Nowadays, everyone just pulls the Malachor site, parks Vader there. So maybe now with Lando there and Lando having cool text that interacts with Imperials and aliens, we thought that made a really cool card. I'm really happy the way it is. It still needs to be play tested. But I like the name. But that's the reason why we had to change the name, because of all the persona rules as we're trying to navigate them and figure out the weird interactions that go forward. So I don't know if you guys have feedback on that or any questions, but that's pretty much where we're headed. We do anticipate a set coming out before the NPC, where we can kind of showcase some of the Lando personas and things like that we're doing.
So my question is, like, I thought with Hunt Down V you really can't start Malachor. It has to be the a Cloud City site that's from Cloud City, correct?
Yeah, it has to be a site with the Cloud City icon that has one dark side icon.
Okay, so you can play like the
non-virtual. Yep. And a lot of people will just pull with the objective the Malachor sites in their deploy phase. Well, this kind of encourages you to maybe pull the Cloud City sites that it can also pull, because Lando's going to be doing some work for you. Put Lando and Vader together at the lower quarter or something like that, and we're excited to see where that takes Hunt Down, which is a deck that I loved and we kind of nerfed a little bit. So hopefully it'll find a good spot.
Okay. Was that your big announcement?
No.
Okay. Okay. Well, we have 15 minutes until Drew and MHT are supposed to play. So
this is honestly, I'm not even overselling. It's the single biggest spoiler in Star Wars CCG history, including Decipher. Everything I'm about to tell you is true. And I will also say I was not sure if I was making this announcement today. Decision was made last night. I wanted to sleep on it, make sure it was the right decision to let everyone know, and I think it is. But as part of my fringe benefits of being design advocate is a lot of people talk to me, even though I find myself not approachable and surly and oftentimes unpleasant. And they'll message me card ideas or theories and weird conspiracy theories, and I'll try to be polite. But one theory keeps gaining steam, and I actually kind of looked into it. If everyone hopefully listened to Kendall's podcast with Jerry Darcy, there's that rumor about Lucasfilm telling Decipher quit it with the Cloud City jokes. Well, he confirmed that wasn't true. This rumor I confirmed through video evidence is actually true. I've actually learned a terrible truth. Dan, how long have you been watching Star Wars?
95.
95. Mike, how long have you been watching Star Wars? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I would say, I don't know, probably even before Dan, early 90s.
And how long have you guys been playing Star Wars?
Oh, I've been playing Star Wars since 95, watching it 93.
Okay. And what about you, Mike?
I started in 96.
Learn something, a terrible truth. What if I told you this guy and this guy were the same guy, same dude. What if I told you that? Crazy, right? Right?
Yep.
I have video evidence. They're the same dude. Why have we been treating them different this whole time? Why? Because of some weird decipher rule saying Darth Sidious, Senator Palpatine, and Emperor Palpatine are 3 distinct personas. They are unrelated to each other for all gameplay purposes. This, we were deceived by a lie. We all were. Palpatine is evil, and from my point of view, Darth Sidious is evil too. Henceforth, from here on out, these will not be different people. These are the same person. We were blinded by the dark side. So immediately, and by immediately I mean like November 9th-ish, after this next round of OCS games, Emperor Palpatine and Darth Sidious will be the same person. And I'm sorry if that spoils anything for you in the Star Wars realm, but it had to be said. Under my reign, we will not have this evil be carrying us where some guy's sitting at the throne room and the same guy is over fighting. It's not going to happen. So there we go. That's the announcement. Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, same guy. Watch the movies. I'm going to post the link in the chat.
Okay, I mean, I understand the reasoning behind it. I really do. But I feel super let down.
I ripped up a
really
Theme
did.
Palace rules card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So-
I kind of feel
Oh,
like we were
yes.
sold a bill of
Yes.
goods here.
Thank you. I'm
It
let
was a
down.
spoiler.
I'm let down. This is not a spoiler.
Even
It's
Decipher
not a
didn't know
spoiler. Oh, please.
that. Decipher didn't know they were the same.
Oh my God,
He
Chris.
figured it out.
Chris, from what
DC
you and
figured it
Jared,
out.
from what you and Jared said, hyping this up, that is the biggest
spoiler.
letdown of the year to me.
Biggest spoiler.
Biggest
spoiler.
letdown. It's not a
Not
spoiler
even
if the
second
entire community knows it. Unless you're
But
living
they didn't
unless you're
keep
living
it
under a
going.
rock in Oklahoma, we all know.
People were putting these guys on the table at the same time. No one knew.
Chris,
Figured it out.
you're no longer my design advocate. That is the
Figured it
worst thing you've done. That's worse than
please,
like
I've
my
done a
father
lot worse.
before me.
I
No.
do have reactions,
Oh,
but I'll wait for Dan to get over the sheer disappointment.
you have disappointed me so much. That's worse than the call that I got back in March. But I want to hear
This
Mike's.
has happened in like 1999. So I don't know.
Mike, can I have your reactions to this from a gameplay standpoint?
I don't know that I feel that strongly specifically about the gameplay. Like, I think that's fine, but can I ask a practical question at this point?
Yeah.
Does this mean the PC is now open to changing other potentially not the smartest and/or rules that, with hindsight, should have been changed to begin with about the game? This
Yeah,
is kind of a
honestly-
slippery slope precedent, I would say.
Yes, this is yeah.
I don't think it's slippery slope. I think we do a pretty good job of recognizing what is best and what is not best, and drawing lines where we have to draw lines. This was the right time for this. It comes up a lot. It's been something that I know the rules advocate, even before Greg, has been asking for. So credit for them for being persistent. The time to do it was now, because we're revamping the Persona rules. And it's kind of a big deal. It probably affects Bring Him and Hunt Down the most. There's also that Set Your Course deck, which probably runs both oftentimes. But from a Star Wars standpoint, it just didn't make sense. Everyone knew in 1999, the Cypher's hands were kind of tied. Ours aren't. So are we open to more things? Yeah, I don't think there's anyone who is foreclosing something if it's a good idea.
So,
Well, then, so I have two follow-up questions to that. Then, one, why not revisit Anakin versus Darth Vader?
What needs to be revisited with that?
I don't necessarily subscribe to there being much of a difference. Like, it is the same person. I would argue that Palpatine's different personas in the game in particular were showing multifaceted character, how he presents to different people. He has a light side, seemingly good character, which is Palpatine. The actual Darth Sidious at the same time, and then became Emperor Palpatine. So you could argue Anakin became Darth Vader. Why is that any different?
Well, so Anakin is the light side version, and Darth Vader is the dark side version. So you can still play Senator Palpatine. It's just this guy is Darth Sidious, and this guy's Darth Sidious.
So
this guy became the Emperor the same way Luke Skywalker became Commander Luke Skywalker, the same way Luke Skywalker became Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. It would be ridiculous and far-fetched to allow both of those personas on the table, even though one's blowing up a Death Star and one's training on Dagobah. So even though they're doing different things at different times, it's the same guy. So this is in line with Vader and Anakin. Each side can get light side can still play their Palpatine.
A couple questions.
Mike had two. Actually.
Okay, Mike, what's your second point? Sorry.
The second question is not gameplay specific, but more so like if this was a Decipher rule. I think the biggest Decipher rule that people could argue should be revisited is never banning cards. Like, if we're willing to make a change like this, would we be open to the idea of starting an actual banned list?
Ooh.
I don't know that we're not open to anything. Am I for a ban list? I personally am not for a ban list, just because of the way things have been handled. But this is a good example of that doesn't always win the day just because it's been handled a certain way. Put it on the forums. We talk about stuff. Just because we don't always adopt everyone's ideas doesn't mean we don't discuss them, or even that they're bad ideas. It just, for whatever reason, we might not adopt them. But I don't know that there's nothing off the table as far as I'm concerned in design. If something's a good idea, we're going to talk about it.
Okay. So, how is this going to work with like Bring 'Em Before Me? If you're saying they're the same person, you can essentially pull Lord Sidious or even Darth Sidious now and putting Jedi out of play because you could pull the Emperor.
Well, not really. And again, credit goes here to both Greg and EBT, who are working everything out. And it should be in place in time for the next round of OCS. We don't want to do it in the middle. I wanted to give everyone fair notice that we are doing it. The general rule is going to be the persona is Darth Sidious. That's who it is. He becomes the Emperor at one point. So anything that references the Emperor would only refer to him when he's the Emperor. Just the same as if something said Commander, it would only refer to Luke when he's a Commander. So the persona would be Sidious.
So I mean,
there are a few interactions where that would matter. Count Dooku would now deploy -1 to Emperor Palpatine's site. That's not a huge deal. Count Dooku would deploy -1 to Senator Palpatine's site. So that's one of the gameplay interactions. But again, the persona would be Sidious. So if it says deploy Emperor, you would only be able to deploy Emperor Palpatine, the Emperor Palpatine returned, or Emperor Foreseer. And just the same, Darth Sidious would not be able to use Force Lightning because that card references Emperor. Darth Sidious is not the Emperor yet.
Okay, that's a question that was asked in the chat, so I'm glad you picked up on that one. Another question: why didn't you just rip up the Lord Sidious or the Darth Sidious AI that you have there instead of the rules card? That would have been more fitting.
These things are double sleeved. Read my article about protecting your collection. I can't rip through that. I'm not Superman over here.
Get a pair of scissors.
Nah, it was more effective to rip it up. Kill the past,
Those cards are in the past. But okay. Why now? And you're saying that you're working on the persona rules. What do you mean by like working on the persona rules? Maybe clarify that, because I know you touched upon it with the Lando, but like you got a lot. There's a lot to take in here.
Yeah. So, but there's not. because of the way we've been playing the game, we've always, I mean, you said revisit Anakin and Vader. What needs to be revisited about that? Each side has their own version of it. Light side gets Anakin, dark side gets Vader. We've accepted that as a community for a long time.
No, not really. I mean, we
You know,
only.
if you, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say not really. Like it wasn't until we actually made Padawan learner Anakin.
Which was before the reset, which
Yeah.
was a while ago. Yeah, so we've accepted it for a long time. There hasn't really been a problem with that. There's other characters in Star Wars that do play both sides. Beckett, for example. You know, and there's mentions of Lando, your Lando. Kira, for example. There's a lot of different DJ from Last Jedi. There's a lot of characters that we could make on either side of the Force, where there is only one special rule for Lando. So to me, that never made sense. Let each side play their version of them. You know, the way we do with Vader.
Okay.
Oh, I actually
That's why
fundamentally
we're
agree with that.
We are
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just said I fundamentally agree with that for what it's worth. Like, let people play their cards. I just
Yeah.
don't know if I really understand or care that much about the Emperor Palpatine change. Like, this is I don't know. That's just me personally. From a gameplay perspective, it never bothered me.
Yeah, so it's something that comes up a lot as far as people feeling very strongly about it. I was similar to you. It didn't necessarily bother me, but
Yeah.
when you think about it, it's weird. If someone walks by and says, "Hey, you have two of those guys on the table," that does seem as weird. And a lot of cogent arguments were put forth as to why to do it. I look at it also as steroids in the Hall of Fame. Until they're in the Hall of Fame, the debate's never going to end. So until they are merged, it's not going to end. And Decipher had to make the rule for a certain reason. We don't. And it just makes sense. We have some other Sith-related cards coming out. And Darth Sidious is an epic character in this saga. So it doesn't make sense for him to have a Persona 1 through 3, and then also 4 through 9. You know, you can't have Emperor Palpatine and Emperor Palpatine returned on the table at the same time. Why would you be able to have his younger version of himself on the table at the same time? So there's a lot of inconsistencies with it. It just made sense to streamline it. This is the baddest guy in Star Wars, so we can kind of group them all together and have this guy, he's immune to attrition. We can kind of make him more specific to certain decks in some ways. We don't have to exclude other versions. So it made a lot of sense to do it now.
Yeah.
But I think the rationale Decipher had probably has nothing to do with any of that, and more so they wanted people to be able to play with their Emperor Palpatines, which is an ultra rare that people chased after, and incentivize them to buy the new set to get Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the argument would be have people play with their chase rares. I think that is probably from a Decipher standpoint. I think that would make sense.
I don't know if that's entirely true just from the other, as far as what rules they had to follow. Obviously, we know they were kind of forced into making episode 1. They didn't make an Anakin for reasons. And then when they made Darth Sidious, they obviously had to make them separate because if they're the same, they kind of spoil Lucas's big thing. Again, even following that logic, though, if that was the reason, we're not constrained by that reason. We don't care if you play your chase rares or not. It's cool to play them for nostalgia. You get a good feeling out of it, but we're not selling cards.
Well, I mean, the chase.
We don't need to make sure people can play those cards.
I was just saying, I think you're taking a more of a Star Wars view than we're selling a product view from a Decipher standpoint. From a now, I get it. It doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's probably a good thing. We're not trying to sell a product. We're just trying to make a cohesive game. And merging the personas will allow us to do that when we do our Sith-related stuff.
Okay. Well,
I would say the crowd went mild, unfortunately. Maybe we shouldn't overhype some things, at least.
Yeah, Chris, you completely overhyped that, man. That was to me, that was a huge letdown. That's
and if I lived my life by letting you down, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in now.
What?
I can't have you be the standard at which I conduct myself.
But you are. Because I got nothing right now. No, it's because you're an advocate and I hold you to a higher standard.
And as an advocate, I'm telling you all, they are the same guy.
And,
You heard it here first.
Okay, so I think at this point, it looks like Drew and MHT are getting ready to play their game. So I know this is a huge thing to talk about, and I know there's going to be a lot of discussion. Hopefully, you, Jared, the other advocates will post something on the forum so that we can have a reasonable and not a back and forth, like a good back and forth on this discussion. But I agree. Stimpy, biggest disappointment in Star Wars CCG history? Yes. So, but it does look like they are ready to do this. So let's go into the Drew and MHT's game. Are you gonna stick around for a little bit, Chris, or no?
I am not. You guys, thank you very much for streaming. I know the community definitely appreciates the commentary. It's awesome to have on in the background, so we definitely appreciate it. And good luck, guys. Good luck to the players as well.
Okay, so let's get over
Thanks, Chris.
onto that.